If it's like, oh, how do I attempt a door repair? Who wants to watch that? But if it's like, I'm going to smash my door and then I'm going to attempt a door repair, well, now it's like there's some stakes there.
Hi, my name is Michael. Today I'm starting a brand new series that I'm calling Breaking Shit to see if I can fix it. First up, dents.
Oh, me.
But can I fix it though? Hi, my name is Michael, and today I'm filling my Volvo with 1,100 kilos of cow shit to see if I can fix it. 60 bags? Here we go. I only put OEM or OE equivalent parts on my cars because I actually care about my cars. Maybe you should try it sometime.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Cold Take Podcast. My name is John, and today we have Michael and Ian from Michael's Cars on TikTok, YouTube, whatever else you have as far as social media goes.
Instagram occasionally. Primarily TikTok, sometimes YouTube.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Michael.
Yeah, so we're actually in Columbus, Ohio, even though we're based in Tampa. It's probably about 40 to 50 degrees colder here, which kind of leads to the whole snow outside and that whole situation, which affects cars a lot, obviously, which created a fun situation getting here yesterday, as well as just links into the whole thing. Because Michael does a lot of content based on his cars and his car problems, because it's a BMW and a Volvo, right?
Yep.
Known, like, mainly most of the videos are breaking the Volvo to see if you can fix it.
Yes.
So let's start with that. Where you got the idea to buy a Volvo and then just say, let me just do as much as possible to damage this thing and see what happens.
So I've always loved cars, right? And I wanted to get into making content on cars. And one of the things I've always liked, too, was working on my own cars. Maybe I didn't like it, but I owned a BMW, so I had to. And so I was like, you know, what would be a good way to get people interested in, you know, car repair? And this is how it started, at least, right? And I was like, you know what? I should buy a cheap car just to break it in different creative ways, right? And I think that people are going to love it. So, like, you know, I could, like, smash the doors. I could, well, I won't give away that one yet. You know, I could fill the brakes with mysterious fluids. You know, we could do all sorts of things and essentially sneakily teach people these different car repairs without them even, like, you know, knowing about it. But really, it was more, it was less about being a tutorial and more about being like, you know, this is how you could approach a problem and try and solve it if you didn't know how to do it, right?
By causing it.
Yeah, by first causing it yourself. Yeah, if it's like, oh, how do I attempt a door repair? Who wants to watch that? But if it's like, I'm going to smash my door and then I'm going to attempt a door repair, well, now it's like there's some stakes there, you know?
Yeah, because then everybody's thinking, why did this man
exactly
smash his own door in? I think is it the cow manure video that is your most popular one? Or is it, or do you know if it's a different one?
It's very popular. I think that's around like 2.3 million views. There might be a couple that are higher than that. I know people really liked when I filled my brake lines with Mountain Dew Baja Blast. That was
specifically Baja Blast.
Yeah,
nobody cares about any other
It has
flavor.
to be Baja Blast, and it was like purchased from a Taco Bell too, right? Like people like that one a lot. Well, people have liked them all, but the very first one was definitely the most eventful for me because I had no expectations of what it was going to do, and so I like smashed my door, right, to see if I can fix it.
With a sledgehammer.
Yeah, with a sledgehammer.
Not one hit. It was like 3 or 4, wasn't it?
Well, I thought the first one was like not adequate, so like I had to go for more. And I remember like I posted that video. I was at my girlfriend's like house, and I'm just like sitting there, and like must have been something around like 20 minutes into posting this video, and all of a sudden like my notifications just like it's like 99 plus. Oh, and I click on it, and it's like 99 plus, and I'm like, oh my god. What's happening?
So the window was the first one, or not the window.
Smashing the car door.
Smashing
was
the car
first
door.
One.
I got mixed up with window because I remember specifically you smashed it, and you're like, "Let's hope I didn't break my window regulator."
Yeah.
Which luckily I don't think you did.
He actually broke that window.
Yeah.
I did not.
Yeah, I threw a strut through the window. Yeah, from the other side. Yeah,
Yeah,
just like hucked it.
He was inside the car. I was like, I was like, okay, so Ian, this is how I want this video to start off, right? I was like, I want to be in front of the car, and then I'm just going to be like, has this ever happened to you? And then the window's just going to explode behind me. I was like,
yeah, I better get it in one take.
Yeah.
No, that's great. So if you don't mind me asking, how much did you pay for this Volvo?
I paid $800.
Oh, okay.
The guy listed it for $1,000. I went and I saw it, and it was clearly, it had some issues. when I saw it from this guy, we went on a test drive. He wouldn't even let me drive the car because it didn't have like power steering, and I was like, no, I can manage it, but whatever. And we got back. It clearly had bad engine mounts. It clearly had a bad steering rack, among a multitude of other things. Like the seatbelts didn't completely work, and the gas cap wasn't there. But I was like, this is such a characterful car. Like it has so much personality in it, and I know that there's going to be people out there who are going to be mad that I'm doing this, and that makes it good.
That's everybody's excuse for getting like a really old, or not even old cars, but like very broken ones. Is they're like, it has character, man. So you decided before getting the Volvo that you were going to find a cheap car to just do all of this to, or was it like?
Yeah, well, because at this point, I had my manual transmission 3 Series, right? Which is like bone stock from like 2009, and like no one cares about the car except for me. And I'm like, I had put like a ton of like money and time into fixing it, and so I was like, there's no way I'm like doing this to my own car, because like as funny as it is to like fill the brake lines with Mountain Dew, I was like, I don't know like what that's going to do to like the fittings and whatever, and I don't want to
mess up your own transportation.
Yeah, I put like. I feel like with BMWs, you know, you put like just slightly. If you don't baby it to a maximum degree, something's going to go wrong.
Oh yeah, Florida starts raining sideways, the engine's just gone.
Yeah, exactly.
I have a friend back in Tampa that has a, I think it's 2011 or 2012. It's a 328i, so it's still a 3 Series, but everything is broken in that thing. Like it's now 10 years old because it's 2022. So like, I mean, he could take better care of it, obviously, because I've been in that car and I'm like, damn, dude, you don't take care of this thing as far as the interior goes. So like some parts of the door panel is like peeling off and it's super sticky in some places.
Is it like the grab handle's sticky?
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell me.
Is that a normal thing?
It's for some reason, it's only like the passenger grab handle and then in the back, right? So it's not the driver one. But so I took Gorilla Tape and I spray painted it beige to match my interior, and I just taped the handle up. And that's been my solution for the entirety of the car. I was like, I don't feel like taking the door panel off, so I'm just going to...
So it's not just his problem, it's a thing that happened.
Oh, it's all of them, yeah. Well, in fact, no. So when I bought that car, my sister had one from new, like a 2011, right? And hers is also a manual transmission, and I was like, she had no problems with it whatsoever. I was like, even though Consumer Reports rates this as like very bad on everything reliability related, right? It can't be that bad because she's had no problems. And I bought it, and it's been a nightmare. It's been a heap of a car.
You said yours is 2009?
Yeah.
So yours wouldn't have like the whole like touch, or not touch screen, but like it wouldn't have like a big screen in it or anything like that, would it?
It has. This would have been very close to base, so there's no infotainment whatsoever, which I actually enjoy.
Yeah,
because I like simple.
A lot of cars like look fine with that, and they're really simple. But I'm asking because like this guy in Tampa that has the 2012, it's not like Apple CarPlay sort of stuff where it's touchscreen. It might be touchscreen. I can't recall completely, but it has it like coming up off the dashboard barely. But it's stock.
Yeah.
But the problem with it is that apparently the inside of a BMW is not supposed to take any heat at all. So due to the heat in Florida, the heat ended up pretty much baking that screen, and there's a huge crack like diagonally through it, and then it turned white.
Oh God!
So it's just like the screen itself is a complete mess. I don't know how. I've never had one. I've never had a Beamer, so I don't know how like any of the parts are held on or anything like that, whether they use like same style clips as everybody else. But He's had reflectors fall off, parts of his bumper.
Oh, yeah?
Like
Yeah.
pieces of his rim just break off, even though he doesn't hit curbs, things like that. He has to replace he doesn't drive like crazy, but he has to replace his rotors like every 4 or 5 months.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dear God,
Well,
man.
there are a lot. I don't know if they've fixed it since then. I hope that they have, but there's a lot of like plastic in that car where there should be metal, like as far as like clips and like pieces that should be structural and like stuff like so. When you go to do anything, like repair wise, like you're going to break stuff. There's no avoiding it because of the fact that like just like heat cycles, the plastic gets brittle over time, and then you just like take the clip to take like even something as simple as like an ignition coil out, and like oops, broke the thing.
So, as far as the BMW itself goes, I think you have one video where you said how much or like why you shouldn't get a BMW. I think it's like,
Yes.
If I'm not wrong, you paid like $6,000 for it.
I paid $6,500, $7,000 with tax.
Yeah.
I've put in, and this is a story in and of itself. I've put in, I think the number is 8,000 in the first 3 years, and that's the majority of that
In repairs.
in parts. Just me doing it.
Oh.
So like, had I paid shops to do that work, I probably would have spent like 15,000, 16,000.
Yeah, almost double that just for the labor itself.
Yeah. Absolute nightmare of a car. Well, no. So at this point in my ownership of it, I figured I was just returning it to like new condition, and that like, you know, I'm like, for instance, I changed out the entire suspension, and I didn't like need to, but I had like a couple control arms go bad, and I was like, I don't want to continue like doing these piecemeal repairs. It's just easier. I'll just do it all at once.
Yeah. Especially like a lot of suspension replacements you can upgrade anyways for not terrible.
Right. And so in the last like month, and this happened in the course of like a week, I got a massive shop bill from the local BMW dealer over here. So there were like a number of check engine lights on, and I didn't know what they were. They like came on. The car wasn't driving any differently, and so I took it to the BMW dealer just to try and fix my tire pressure sensors, which weren't working, and they weren't working because the tire discounters. I changed the wheels on my car out, and the tire discounters couldn't get the sensors to pair up for whatever reason. They're like, you got to take this to the BMW dealer. So I took it to the dealer, and they send me. They're like, apparently they do video walkarounds now. So the mechanic did like this video walkaround, vlog style, and he's like, yeah. So you got bad cats, both of them. And, you know, get into that. I'm going to like break all the O2 sensors. So you're going to need 4 new O2 sensors too. There's a problem with your Vanos system. There's something wrong with like your direct injection too. And he's just like rattling on and on. He's like, oh, but the good news is for your tire pressure things, like the last guy didn't plug the module in all the way. So I fixed that. Comes back to me, just the catalytic converters. It's going to be $6,000.
Oh dear God!
In addition to a whole bunch of other stuff, and so I'm like in my mind I'm around like $9,000 now, and I'm like, oh my God. Anyway, at this point I'm like, well, I'm just going to continue driving the car because it's like whatever, bad cats. I'll deal with it in the future. And literally the next day, I'm like driving home from a friend's house at night, like on country roads too, and like it starts off the high beams like won't come on, and I'm like, this is odd because I was using them like 10 minutes ago. And then they'll come on, but then they'll like turn themselves off like very quickly. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, please get me home. Then the headlights just like flash off and flash back on. I didn't like touch anything, mind you. And I'm like, oh God. Keep driving. The car just like is falling apart in my stead. I'm just watching this car grow electrical problems from nothing. And by the time I got home, luckily I was like very close to home, but all the lights turned off. The infotainment, like the speakers were still playing my music, which is odd.
Oh, that's the most important part.
But like it was just basically strobing all of the lights. So like the interior lights, the headlights, and the tail lights were just like flicker flashing.
And this was recently, like within the last month?
So that car's...
You're driving a Christmas tree during Christmas season. Cool.
Yeah, so... So a video that's coming up that we're very excited for is we're going to essentially whistle and diesel my car.
Okay, and the BMW, you're doing that
Yes.
to the BMW.
Yes.
And this is the BMW is your personal car. It's not.
Yes.
It was never intended to be
It was never intended to be content.
Oh, dear
Yeah.
God. So then it turned into, oh, well, my car's very messed up. So
Yes.
now we're
Yes.
throwing money at it and apparently content.
So I'm looking for new cars. Ian can attest to this.
Yeah. Lots of deliberating.
Yes.
What kind of cars are you looking at?
Right now it's between 3. Okay, I'm looking at the Toyota GR86. It's like a new one.
Oh, okay. They look good.
A
I know absolutely nothing about them.
Golf GTI, and this would be like a 2-year-old Genesis G70. So it's like a 3 Series competitor. They did make one with a stick, and those are like selling very slowly on dealer lots. So I could get a really good deal on one of the stick ones of like the 200 that they made. So that's where I'm at right now.
And yeah, I've never seen a. Well, I probably have seen a G70, but I probably not personally familiar with it. I've had a friend that had a GTI, and I had another friend that just got a Volkswagen Taos that was looking into the GR86. So they seem like pretty good choices. I don't know too many details about GR86s, but my family, my mother specifically has had Toyotas for like the last 20 years.
Yeah.
And just consistently goes with them. I don't really know what's up with them recently, but she just got the day after I crashed my Mustang back in April.
Yeah.
The day before I crashed the Mustang. So within 24 hours, we bought a new car and then sent a different one to a repair shop. What happened was she traded in her 2000 Toyota Camry in for a 2020 Corolla. And we've got one friend that's been doing like car stuff for years, and he's like, no, you should have stuck with the 2000 one. Like much more reliable. I don't like the new ones. And never really found out why, but it works fine, and she knows absolutely nothing about cars. So all she knew was that every single time she brought it to the shop, they were like, yeah, there's something wrong with your 22-year-old car. Because it was like, okay, well, I just replaced the timing belt on this last year. They're like, yeah, you need a new one. It's $1,000. And then the blue book value for it was like $1,500. So she's like,
Yeah.
I'm just going to, well, Jordan checked the blue book value like a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years. It said like $800. So I'm like, oh, God, you're going to get nothing for this. But then, obviously, with all the used car prices like skyrocketing recently, even like trading in a 20-something-year-old car, they got $1,500 for it. And then the person at the dealership, because she got it at an enterprise, like how they sell the cars after their rentals. So it was like a 1-year-old car with 1 or 2-year-old car with like 40-something thousand miles, which is already a decent amount, but she's like, whatever, I don't drive like crazy, so it'll be fine, because her other car lasted like 175,000 miles before she got rid of it.
So what kind of car?
The new one or the old one?
The new one.
Corolla, 2020.
Okay. Yeah.
So then what?
Well, those will last forever.
Oh, yeah. My brother has a 2012 Camry, but my brother is something special. He doesn't take care of cars like at all. He's maybe washed it once or twice, and he's had it for, how long have I had my car? He's had it for about 2.5 years now. Before that, he had a 2005 Corolla, which, God, that was a project. But
the funniest thing is reading like the comments on some of the commenters on the videos where I talk about my BMW. It's hilarious. They're like, well, if you just took care of your car, I'm like, what does it look like I'm doing? I'm like, I'm in the like top 1% of people taking care of this car. Like anyone else would have gotten rid of this by this point.
Oh yeah, for sure. And then at that point, it's just like, okay, are you don't know about BMW, or like, are you a 16-year-old that's like, you think you know everything about the cars? Because every single person that I know that has owned a BMW, I can't say about the Supras, because I don't know anybody with a Supra. all of them just are like, I hate this car. They're all like, if you can't afford a new BMW, you can't afford a used BMW.
Yeah. There are like, I think there's instances where people get by and they don't have many problems at all. And so like those people are like, there's nothing wrong.
If you don't look at the check engine light, it's not there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, at that point, it's just some people don't see the light, and then they're just like, well, the car's not breaking down, so it's fine.
Yeah.
So now you got like 2 project cars.
Now, the problem with the reliability-wise, the only question that I'd have on like something like the GR86 or BRZ is that it's using a Subaru engine, right? So the Boxer engines, hopefully Toyota has done.
They're just
some
borrowing
things
everybody's engines.
to help it out. But I have a friend who he's been through 2 Foresters now and probably 5 head gaskets.
Not learned his lesson.
Yeah, I don't know if the shops have not.
They love him.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, they love him.
Well, I don't know if he's getting ripped off, like they're not actually doing the job right.
Well, I'm sure they're reusing components if he's going and
Yeah.
getting like 2 head gaskets done for $1,200. That doesn't sound right.
Know the technician so well you go to breakfast together sort of thing?
Yeah, they're just using they're probably using the bottle too
I think so.
until it.
Until it pops again.
Yeah, we've got a friend who initially Christian was supposed to be here to be the co-host,
Yeah.
and then he obviously didn't. So we had another friend that was also supposed to be here, but found out like Friday night that he couldn't. But he would have been really fun to do because he's like super talkative and has like a ton of questions. Because we showed him the cow shit video, and he was like, "I have so many questions." But he actually has I think it's a 2020 Miata. But before that, he had a family member that had a Forester. I don't know how old it was, probably like 15, 20 years. But like everybody's like, oh, Subaru's so reliable. So then you go, and what he did was this family member was in Colorado. So they were like, well, if you want to come get it from Colorado, I'll just give it to you. So he went all the way up to Colorado, drove all the way back in the Subaru. So he went with a friend, I guess, and then he drove separately on the way back, whatever the details of as far as that were. And then what he was going to do is he started having some problems, and one of the problems was the head gasket. So what happened there was he went and started to look into trading it in, just because he was like, I got this car for free. It's starting to have problems. I need to get rid of it.
Right.
The dealership was like, we'll give you $2,000 for it, which is like decent for a car that's having problems and 20 years old. But then as he was driving to the dealership to get it traded in, like that, the actual day of the trade-in, it broke down on the interstate, and the engine started smoking.
Oh no!
So then they were like, "I guess we'll give you $1,000 for it."
I completely forgot about this. This was a very bad omen when I bought that BMW that's a trash heap right now. Driving it didn't make it out of the dealer lot.
Yeah, you made it like
I literally
a mile?
After signing the paperwork, the very next time I turned it on to leave with my new car, it did this really weird. So it just started lurching forward and back, right? And my brother was in the passenger seat. He drives stick. He has his whole life. He's like, Michael, what are you doing? I'm like, Jim, I'm not doing this. This isn't me. We made it to the gas station right next door. And the guys, this is like a really small mom and pop lot. The guy's son came out and was trying to disconnect the battery. I'm like, no, you guys got to deal with this. I think it was the throttle body.
Usually, I just got this car from your place. Obviously, it's not something that I did.
Yeah.
Yeah. The something that your Christmas all of your dashboard and all those lights lighting up like a Christmas tree reminded me of in May of 2019, myself, Jordan, Jordan's in the background. He's exhausted just by being reminded of this. We went to Los Angeles for 2 weeks, and we rented a car from Toro, which will never happen again. We will always be using actual rental companies.
Well, what's the story there?
So we rented a car from Toro. And Toro, for anybody that doesn't know, it's kind of like Airbnb but for cars. So it's not like
people loan their personal cars out
Yeah.
to people, and you can rent it.
Yeah, basically. And then sometimes they'll have a mileage limit or whatever their own details are. But the gist of it is, people rent out their own cars for people to use, whether it's travel or just whatever. I think it was a Honda CRV, I think. And it was fine for I think it was 4 days. We were there for 15 days. So not very far into the trip. It was fine the first day. It was fine the second day when we went through a mountain. It was fine the third day. I forget I think we went surfing that day. So we were driving the Huntington Beach is probably an hour away from LA. So we weren't driving 5 minutes each time. And then all of a sudden we were driving on the Pacific Coast Highway on the fourth or fifth day because it was a Wednesday. We got there on Saturday. And because this guy at Bubba Gump Shrimp on Santa Monica Pier was like, oh, I just moved here from South Africa. I visited all 50 states. And then I picked this one because it was my favorite one because he's visited all 50 states before he decided on which one he wanted to move to. And then he moved to Los Angeles.
So he moved to California, okay.
Yeah, great choice.
Yeah.
So then he's like, when I was visiting here, what I did that made me really love this place is you take a drive from the Pacific Coast Highway and then you drive through this scenic drive through certain mountains and certain roads and stuff like that. And he's like, don't use Apple Maps, use Google Maps because Apple Maps you can't suggest routes and Google Maps you can apparently.
Okay.
Crowdsourcing or whatever for Google Maps. So we were like, okay. So we did it that night after Bubba Gump Shrimp thing to see what it was like, even though you can't see anything at night.
Did the CRV not make it?
That night, the CRV made it. Then the next day we were like, we're going to do it again since we can actually see it and it's daylight.
Yeah.
We're driving along the Pacific Coast Highway before we even get into any of the mountains. And everything's perfectly fine. And then all of a sudden, every single light on the dashboard comes on. And half of them start blinking. And Jordan's driving. And he's like, what the hell is this? He's like, my dashboard just lit up like a Christmas tree. I'm like, maybe the dashboard, a light broke or something, or some detector broke. Because for a minute, nothing was going on with the car. It was still being fine. And then within 30 seconds of me being you could probably drive far enough to get to a place to stop at, or talk to the guy that rented it out.
Did an oil cooler line break or something and it just spit all of its oil out?
We don't know. All you hear is just the throttle is super high, or even though we're going 15 miles an hour trying to get into the shoulder.
Yeah.
Car breaks down, every single light is on. And so then we call this guy and we're like, hey, we've only had your car for a few days. We haven't done really anything to it other than put I don't know, whatever, an hour or not an hour because it was an hour drive to some places, maybe 6 or 7 hours worth of miles on the car. We're driving on normal roads. We weren't ripping it apart.
Right.
Couldn't break his clutch or anything because it was an automatic car.
Yeah.
So then he's like, what happened? I'm like, we broke down on the side of the Pacific Coast Highway. And then he's all the way in Los Angeles. And at that point, we were about an hour and 20 minutes away from Los Angeles on the highway.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, if you can figure out a way to get it here, then I'll loan you a different car or something like that, or I'll get it taken care of. And Jordan's thinking, if one car is like this, we're not going to deal with another one like this. So
if you can get it back to me, I didn't cause this.
Yeah, that's
your car.
You fix it.
Yeah, exactly. And we're like, how do you expect us to get it back to you? So we called Toro then, and we were like, we paid, I don't know, $700 for this car for 2 weeks. And they were like, yeah, we can't give you any refund for it at all, any partial refund. The most we can do is give you a $50 credit to Uber to get you back to Los Angeles. And we're like, we are an hour and a half away from Los Angeles.
You're like,
a $50 credit's not going to get us
It's like
anywhere.
$100 Uber.
Yeah, at least. And I'm like, no Uber's even going to come to the middle of the highway, just randomly. There's no address or anything. So then Jordan and luckily all 5 of us were not in the car. It was just 3 of us. If all 5 of us were, it would have been even more chaos. But one guy was busy visiting a friend that we had living there, and then the other one was baked as shit in the house, having no brain power at all because he just took as many edibles as he could the night before because he's like, damn, we're in California, weed's legal here, it's not legal in Florida, I'm just going to live up on it.
So the worst possible time that you could have had this happen.
Yeah, so we had one person missing who we found out that the friend that he was with could have been able to pick us up, but our friend himself, he just was like, no, we're too busy. I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
So great friend, obviously. And then the other one's baked, so he couldn't do anything.
Right.
And so Jordan and our friend Cody were like, oh, there's an Enterprise like a mile away from here. It was a fire station. Because it was the middle of nowhere. It was just a highway.
Yeah.
So he went to a fire station, and then I think it was the fire station guys drove them somewhere. Or he got an Uber, apparently, from the fire station. Yeah, because you can't put like a location. At that point, you couldn't put a location on Uber for just a random spot on the highway. So they got an Uber to meet them at the fire station. I think one canceled on them. So that made it worse. And then another one came, picked them up, brought them to wherever. Meanwhile, I'm sitting in a car, in this broken ass car by myself. Mm-hmm. It's getting like 100 degrees just because nothing works. The cops stop by and they're just like, hey, you want us to hang out with you? I'm like, I do not care. I just want to be out of here. I'm like, I am fine. I'm just waiting. So then call this tow truck company. They're like, yeah, we'll be there in 30 minutes. Took them 3 hours. Tow truck driver spoke zero English because we're in Los Angeles.
Yeah, naturally.
Yeah, so then he's like trying to tell me how he wants it on the tow truck, and I'm like, I don't know what you're saying, because he's just pointing and saying Spanish words.
Yeah.
I know like zero Spanish, maybe two or three words.
You're like, I'm not the tow driver.
Yeah.
You are. You figure out how to get it on the back.
Yeah, exactly. So then I gave him the keys. I'm like, here, you do your thing. So then he gets it on there. And then Ventura there's Ventura County and then Ventura the town. Ventura the town is where he brought me to, which was like 15 minutes from where we were stuck on the interstate.
Yeah.
And it's basically like this little isolated town in the middle of like a cove of mountains. And there's like one outlet to the highway.
Okay.
So I was like, I'm in the middle of like mini Mexico. Nobody here speaks any English except for like two people that work at the fire station, because I went to a different fire station than they did apparently. And I thought I went to the same one. And they were like, this isn't at all where we went. So the funniest part was I rode with the tow truck driver, because it was before COVID and all this stuff. It was 3 years ago now. I rode with the tow truck driver, and it was the most unstable car ride ever, because we're just sitting in silence because neither one of us speaks each other's language, and I'm just bouncing because the car is just terrible. The tow truck's just terrible, so I'm just bouncing like that.
Yeah, of course.
Send Jordan a video, and he's like, that's one of the funniest things I've seen, because I looked miserable, and the tow truck driver's just like...
So did you have to pay for the tow?
I don't think we did. I think Turo paid for it, or the guy did.
That's good. At least there's that. Because if I had to pay for like a $200 tow, I would
have left his car
angry.
there.
Oh, dear God, yeah.
Good luck.
You're going to come get me, or I'm going to push this into traffic.
Yeah.
You're going to leave the keys in it.
The tow truck driver had to get his supervisor.
leave the keys just on the...
On the side of the road. Like, if you want it, you can have it.
Yeah. The tow truck driver didn't speak any English, like I said, but his supervisor did. So he got his supervisor on the phone, and the supervisor's like, what's going on? I'm like, I'm renting a car. It's not mine. I don't care where it goes, but, like, the owner lives here, but I'm not going there. So then trying to get through, like, an interpreter, like a language barrier, trying to say, drop me off in one place and the car in another place was already enough. Then by the point that I was separated from the car and I was just sitting in Little Mexico by myself without Jordan or Cody or anybody, and just kind of sitting at the bus station or just whatever waiting, because they went to, I think it was an Enterprise or a Hertz or something, and they rented a separate car. I don't know, I forget what type it was, but regardless, it was like just another SUV that had zero problems for the next week and a half.
Well, I'm surprised that a Honda CR-V blew up on you.
Oh yeah,
That's...
I was like, this car is supposed to be great.
Was it like a particularly old one?
No, it was like basically brand new.
Interesting.
So I
get a Hertz.
What the hell?
No, they're all Teslas. You know?
Yeah, apparently. So then we, what we did is I waited at the in Ventura, and then they got a rental from Enterprise, and then it took from the time of the car breaking down, took about like 4.5 hours for them to get to me. So I was just chilling by myself in May in the middle of May in Los Angeles, very hot weather. But I was like, whatever. I live in Florida. I'm used to this. So everything was fine as far as that goes. I was just exhausted when we got back in the car. We go to this restaurant in Santa Monica, the source of all of our problems, because that's where the guy that told us to go through this trip. But we went to a separate restaurant there, And Cody was like, you know what? Since you sat for 4 hours by yourself and took care of the car, I'll pay for your dinner. And I was like, sick.
Yeah.
And then he's like, you know what, John? You should get the surf and turf because that's exactly what I'm going to get. And then the asshole went, and he's like, okay, John, you get to order first. And I'm sitting here thinking, okay, well, if he's going to get this, I'm just going to get the same thing. In California, the surf and turf is like, I don't know, like $85. Probably more than that. But then he's like...
This is probably fresh fish and stuff like that,
he's
right?
like, yeah, it's right on the beach. So he's like, yeah, get that. It's like steak and lobster and all that. He's like, I'm going to get the same thing. Makes me order first. Then he's like, yeah, I think I'm just going to have... It was like something super basic, like some chicken thing or something. I'm like, you asshole. Now you make me feel like a dick because you got some like $17 thing and then you guilted me into getting something that's like 85 or 90.
Yeah.
So that was one of my favorite car stories as far as the whole Christmas tree thing.
Getting stranded alone.
Yeah.
Yeah, the police stop by, can't talk to the tow truck driver.
Yeah, the only other...
Sounds like a good time.
The only other like car story that I have that would be as fun is yesterday when I flew standby, and we Jordan landed in Columbus at 12. I landed in Cincinnati at 5:45, and they're about an hour and a half apart.
Yeah.
So he drove to Cincinnati, got me. My bag was sent to Chicago.
So CVG, the airport there?
Yeah. So, not my backpack, this was the weirdest thing. So I was flying standby. Yesterday morning, I find out your flight to Columbus got canceled. I'm like, nice. What am I supposed to do now? So then I'm like, okay, I'm going to go on a different flight to Columbus. Nope, got full as I got to the gate. Then I got switched to a flight to Newark, New Jersey to connect to Columbus. But that would have taken off at 12:30.
Yeah.
Within 10 minutes, I was told, don't go on that one. You're going to go on one that takes off at 11:30. So then, by that point, I already had my flights changed like 4 or 5 times. So the part that didn't make sense is that I took the flight to Newark that was originally planned because all along, my flight to Newark was never canceled. It was always the one from Newark to Columbus because United doesn't fly direct from Tampa to anywhere in Ohio, to be honest. So then basically I'm sitting there and my original plan was to take an 11:30 flight from Tampa to Newark and then a different flight at like 1:15 from Newark to Columbus. The Newark to Columbus got canceled. So what was going to happen was my bag, the bag with all of our microphones, all of our important gear that we needed today, got sent to Chicago for some reason, even though it was checked for the flight that goes through Newark and then to Columbus. Because even if a flight's full, a lot of times they'll still stick your baggage on it if you're still going to the same place.
Right.
So I don't know why it went to Chicago. No idea. But they're like, we'll have it in Columbus by tonight. I'm like, why Columbus? I landed in Cincinnati. Yeah. I'm like, it's fine. I'm staying in Columbus anyways. So we find out after I land, like, oh, that's fine. There's just a winter storm now, which is causing half the flights to be canceled, half of the flights to be delayed. My flights were on time, luckily, but once I actually found one to get on, bag got lost. I went to a completely different city than what I planned to. Then Jordan gets me at about 5:45, 6 o'clock from Cincinnati. Then he sends it to Columbus Airport, not Port Columbus Airport, which would be this one, which is, I think it's CMH.
Yeah.
This is Port Columbus International,
Did
whatever.
he end up at Rickenbacker?
I don't know what that is, but he put in Columbus Airport, and he selected Columbus Municipal Airport in Columbus, Indiana, which was another hour and a half or 2 hours west.
Yeah.
So then we're driving for like, I don't know, half an hour, 45 minutes already.
So you were literally driving to Indiana.
So then Jordan sees some sign about being in Indiana. He's like, John, why are we in Indiana? I'm like, bro, okay, so Cincinnati Airport is in Kentucky, not in Cincinnati at all.
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense.
I went to school in Cincinnati, so.
It doesn't make any sense. Why is if you look at
the reason
town
it's
that's
because
based
Cincinnati is more expensive, I think. There's more free real estate in
but it's
Kentucky.
called Cincinnati Airport, too.
Yeah.
But it's not in Cincinnati at all. It's like a few
I'm
miles
with you.
south or whatever.
Half of the sprawl of Cincinnati is in Kentucky.
Yeah, so I'm like, I didn't plan on going to Kentucky, but here I am, I guess. So I'm like, Jordan, you had 2 states that you could be in that were the easiest, Kentucky or Ohio, and you chose Indiana. You went the wrong way. So then we switch.
Sorry.
We switched back to Port Columbus International, which is this one, obviously. And it was like over 2 hours at that point because he had taken a while. And then he's like, oh, there's a Big Boy. Don't have that in Florida. We should go there.
Like a Frisch's?
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
And
Fuel.
we didn't know this. He's like, I've heard that they're really good. He was wrong. He heard that some other restaurant was really good that's local to Ohio.
You were wrong, yeah.
We go in there, and I'm like, dear God, this place is empty.
No, you got to get Skyline.
Okay.
That's where it's at.
So then what happened?
It's like Taco Bell in the way that it makes you feel bad but tastes so good, but like kind of upgraded Taco Bell. Like you feel even better and even worse after. Yeah.
Satisfying and not. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we go to Big Boy and get all of this stuff, and I'm like, what? Oh, because we go in there, and nobody's in there except for this one lady who's being loud as hell. And I'm like, oh, God, what is this? And then they just assumed we knew the whole menu and everything. Obviously, we didn't, because I was like, I just showed up in like a T-shirt and pants and shoes that have no traction. Do I look like I belong in snow?
You're like, what's good? They're like, what do you want?
Yeah, pretty much.
I don't know. I haven't tried it. What do you want?
That we knew like how many sides come with everything, which I mean is normally fine for a restaurant, but like I don't know, it was really weird because they didn't explain anything, even when we asked. They didn't really. The lady didn't even really explain. Sorry, I didn't hear myself for a second. So then that itself was okay. Jordan decided for some weird reason to get the cottage cheese, which was like the best thing there. Apparently, nobody told us that it was the best thing there.
Was it the best thing there?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Is like nobody told us it was supposed to be good, but like he just got it just because he saw it on the menu. It turned out to be the best thing there. Because then
Jordan, pull that up.
So then what happens is that we go to, or not we go anywhere. We were still at Big Boy, but we get our food, and I got like onion rings, just really basic stuff that you can't mess up, and just like the breakfast boy or whatever. And then I tried my burger first, and Jordan's like, "What does this taste like?" Or what? He's like, "Is it good?" I'm like, "It just tastes like a sit-down McDonald's," which, and then because it looks like it too. Like the burgers are just like Big Macs and everything. So that enough was like, okay, that just set us back another 40 minutes just sitting down and eating, and it wasn't worth it at all. So then
better regional foods like Cane's. I don't know if you have that.
No, we don't, but I've heard a million things about it.
Cane's is very good.
Yeah.
I would make an effort.
Yeah, we have time. We'll be going there. So then we leave Big Boy, and because Jordan decided to take the scenic drive to Indiana, gas wasn't really like a big problem. We didn't run out of gas, but like we burned a whole lot of extra gas that we shouldn't have.
And this is like, it's probably snowing the whole time too, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. It went from a winter weather advisory to a winter storm warning very quickly. And I was like, oh, there's 3 inches of snow, and in Florida, all we get is rain. Sick.
Yeah.
Then
there's probably like cars off the road.
Oh yeah. We were messing with Waze. And every 5 seconds, we're just like, oh, let's add another hazard, because I've never used Waze before. So I was or I've used it maybe once or twice, but it hasn't been for years. And before that, I wasn't doing all that. So this time I was like, you know what? I'm in the passenger seat. I'm just going to go crazy with the buttons every time I see a crashed car. Probably saw like 15, 20
That's
cars.
awesome, because there's somebody else who is probably behind you who was just getting hazard ahead. Well,
the problem is when you get like custom voices for Waze too.
Yeah.
So I don't care if you are politically like right, left, upside down. The Donald Trump voice is one of the funniest things you can get on Waze, just because like he doesn't say anything political, but it's so funny because it'll be like hazard, heavy traffic, and he's like, I would watch out if I were you. There's a lot of people saying that there's some heavy traffic. I would be careful. And it's like a long ass message just for saying like, warning, heavy traffic.
Right.
So we're hearing that the whole time just because it's like the funniest thing possible. I haven't found a funnier voice on Waze, to be honest, because it was just really entertaining.
Well, I think, catch me if I'm wrong, you can record your own voice prompts. I saw
and then you share them
some TikTok of somebody did that, and they like they made every one of it was like nightmare fuel for the whole thing. So like every single direction was like a puzzle piece to figure out what it was trying to say. And so,
oh my God.
For instance, one of them was like, in 3/4 of a mile, turn stage left from the position of the audience.
That's great. God. But then, like, one of the funniest things was that when Jordan would make like a wrong turn, like take an exit that he wasn't supposed to, like, I don't know,
Yeah.
0.1 or 0.2 miles ahead of where he should have. And then all you hear is just Donnie Boy just be like, rerouting, somebody made a wrong turn. That was terrible. It's like, dear God, the man is just insulting. And then whenever you arrive someplace, it's like, oh, you have...
This was a bad deal. This is a huge mistake.
Whenever you get somewhere, it's so funny because we haven't heard a different one yet, but every time we get somewhere, it's like something about you have arrived, and he's like, and frankly, I knew you could do it all along, like all of this, and I'm like, oh, thanks for believing in me, man. Or when you start the route to somewhere, there's like, they actually have different ones that just like have a random chance of playing. So one of them's like, okay, I'm all set, let's get the hell out of here. Or there's another one that's like, okay, I'm ready to go. Wait, I'm not ready. And then it'll just keep going. And he's like, okay, now I'm ready. Now we can go. Which doesn't make any sense, but it is what it is. So we have that chaos going on while I'm pushing all these buttons like, oh, there's a crashed car there, unplowed road, crashed car, there's a cop here, all of this nonsense.
Yeah.
And then we get a flat tire. Which we only found out when we were filling up gas because the little tire pressure thing showed up.
Hey, that might have helped you actually at that point.
Yeah, he kind of did.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how many times Jordan was like, if we start sliding, I don't know where we're going to go. Because we're not...
What kind of car were you in?
A 2020 Toyota Corolla.
Front wheel drive, I bet.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And the front right tire was the one that went flat.
Oh, no.
So it was just a lovely
So you got
trip.
to like hold the wheel straight as it was trying to like pull you.
Oh, yeah. That as well as it tried to do lane correction for lanes that just were not visible at all.
Oh, no.
So it would just randomly be like, and Jordan's like, no, we're not going into the other snowplow. Not happening.
What a great way to lose traction, you know?
Yeah, so
is your lane keep assist yanking the wheel and like losing grip because of it.
Because of a flat tire too. So we filled it up. Flat tire's not flat anymore. I don't know if it was an air leak or what, or at least not as flat. We haven't seen the light come on. We haven't.
Was it flat, or was it just like low?
Well, it wasn't like completely flat, but it was like pretty flat. It wasn't like flapping, but it was like you have that much room left.
Sometimes
plug it into the air pressure thing. It's like you have 7
obviously
PSI.
when it gets colder, your pressure drops.
Yeah, but not
that
from 35 to 7.
Yeah, no, and it should also be like uniform. All of them.
Yeah, pretty much.
Drop the same amount. Isn't that's why they say, like, I'm sure this is still like a big grift, but nitrogen in your tires.
Oh, yeah.
In theory, it's like it expands and contracts less or something like that, or it like leaks
more
less.
Consistent.
Yeah. Sorry,
I don't think anybody does it though anymore.
I have notes on here of everything that went wrong yesterday. So yeah, I had different flights, got the bag lost. On my flight to Newark, I had the last seat available. There were 2 of us on standby, so I kicked some other poor bastard off to a different flight because I had more seniority. Had to fly to Cincinnati, got a flat tire. Oh, yeah, because of the snowstorm, don't know what lanes are which. I kind of touched on that with the whole thing of the car trying to put us into a lane that was not visible at all. So it was trying to drive us into a snowplow.
Well, we used to play this game. In high school, we'd call it God Save the Queen, and we'd like throw the UK national anthem on and go in the wrong lane.
Oh, tea time. Yeah.
Yeah, tea time.
Yeah. You drive on the left. Yeah.
Of course, no, but of course, only on like a very deserted country road, but like with good sight lines, never around a corner.
I do that
but
all the time in Florida now because we just moved to the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. You go, tea time. Just
I'm like,
swerve it over.
Yeah.
And then until somebody says to stop.
Yeah. Well, Ian used to be a fiend, so we've been
until somebody says to stop, not until you see a car.
Yeah.
Well, maybe if you see a car, yeah. But I mean, it's fun to play chicken too. You know?
So
not really. But
Ian and I have been like really close friends since like early high school. And his first car was a 97
Toyota Land Cruiser.
Is that how you got involved into this car mess? You just knew this
walking
chaos
that was
for
my
who knows
first
how
car.
long?
It was a shit heap in the best way. But like, I had to learn to work on it, and that's what got my juices flowing in the car world. So yeah, it was it's a fun one. We had a lot of memories in that thing, man. We used to like just drive around.
Great
and around
ground
and
clearance. He'd be in one parking lot that's not connected to the one next to it, and he would just go over the
like. Oh yeah, like curbs like this high and shit. Yeah.
I've only seen one other person do that, and it's our friend George, who doesn't give a shit about anything.
Yeah,
like anything, and to the point where he's like so funny, but he won't ever smile when he's like. Either he'll be joking or he'll just say something stupid. But he drives a 2011 Mitsubishi Lancer that he's trying to turn into an Evo. And sometimes he'll just be like, "Oh, I need to get over." And sometimes if you're on like an interstate or a highway, the left turning lane is separated by a median because you have to go in like an actual lane entrance.
Yes.
He'll just be like, "Fuck it, I missed the lane entrance. I'm just going to go over the curb." I'm like, "You don't have an SUV. You're driving a Lancer that you suspended." So then the other day he went he hauled ass too fast into a gas station, slammed into the tire stopper, and now the bottom of his gray bumper is yellow.
Oh, nice. You better be careful. He's going to get his oil pan there, man.
He's broken so many things in that car. He just got something fixed as far as like cooling goes. But I don't know. He's had so many problems with that car, but he's like, you know what? It's fine until it actually breaks down. This 173,000 mile car is fine. And I'm like, 173,000 miles? That's as many as my mother had on her 20-year-old Camry.
Yeah.
This car's 10 years old.
Well, yeah, particular cars like yours.
Land Cruiser, I had 280 something when I sold it. Yeah,
man.
They get to 500,000 though. Yeah, it's
they'll go forever. I mean, like stuff will break on the inside
ever.
Like electric.
Yeah, yeah. Some cars will last like forever, but like this kid specifically has so many broken things. He runs a car detailing business in Tampa, so. Me and Jordan have had our cars detailed. Me and Jordan both have Mustangs.
Oh, really? What? Same matching Mustangs?
No, he has a red one. He has
okay.
He has a. Well, we both have 2019, but I have a 2019 EcoBoost. It might be premium. I don't know. Either that or the guy that had it before. I think it's premium.
What does it have? Like a leather interior?
No, but it has like active exhaust and like the massive ass screen and stuff like and all sorts of stuff that like does not come base. But it's not like aftermarket stuff either. It's stuff from Ford. So I don't care if people give me shit for a 4-cylinder.
Jordan, are you in a GT?
Yeah, he's in a GT Performance Pack 2. So I have the mid $20,000 car, and Jordan has the more very expensive, like almost $55,000 car.
I know somebody that could get me the A plan potentially price, like the essentially Ford corporate employee pricing on a Ford, and so I considered like I could get a Mustang.
I love the car.
Yeah.
I didn't have it for 8 months because this guy took forever to repair it.
Yeah.
But the only problem I have is my tire pressure sensors because I changed the wheels.
Yeah, it's always.
Always.
I believe it.
And I changed the wheels while I was in the repair shop, so I figured the repair shop can take care of the tire pressure sensors. He didn't. So I was like, whatever, I got to get Ford to take care of that.
Did he put the old sensors back in?
I don't know. I stopped asking questions because the man took 8 months and 10 days to finish a car that had a messed up rear end.
Like after 1 month, I'd be a little bit like
irked.
Yep.
Yeah.
Come on, guys. The problem this isn't a Model Y. This is
Mustang. It was that as well as I was like, this is not my project car. This is my first car, my driving car.
Yes.
So I don't have another car that I can beat the shit out of.
Yeah.
With a sledgehammer. But yeah, I was like, come on, dude. So then it took him 7 months to offer to pay for a rental car for me. And I was like, about time. Which the problem with that is like, I couldn't get the insurance company to do anything because they were like, if the repairs aren't done, the repairs aren't done. The insurance company can't really do anything because they already gave the dude like a bunch of money and everything.
Yeah.
When I did contact them, they're like, well, this isn't a shop that we recommend anyways. I actually met the guy through Jordan, so now Jordan has a wonderful reputation for people that he knows that works on cars. Jordan's like, whatever, man. Yeah, he did a good job, but it took forever. So, I mean, the car looks brand new, but it just took forever. The insurance company was like, we can't do anything about it. I talked to an attorney. He's like, any attorney you talk to is only used to personal injury law, where like if somebody hit you, then we would go after them, not like if a shop is taking too long, we can't go after them.
Yeah.
No attorney that I talk to can actually do anything about it. They're like, we can try to come up with a lawsuit for it, but no guarantees. So I'm like, then I have to pay you if like it turns into like you can't do anything about it. So I'm not going to do that. But I got it 3 days after Christmas. I crashed it. Not I crashed it. An asshole crashed into me and sent me flying into a guardrail. He was going like 120 miles an hour in a thunderstorm, a very bad thunderstorm in
Hopefully
Florida.
in the same direction as you.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank God.
Yeah.
But he hit me so hard that I didn't like slide into the guardrail. I spun 180 around and my back end hit the guardrail. So I was like, damn. So now I have back problems. So that's cool. But like the whole point where this story originated, what I was getting at is what me and Jordan would do is we'd have our friend that started this car detailing business that I've known for like 10 years now. We'd have him take care of our cars. So one day I brought the Mustang to him before I crashed it. It might have been, no, it wasn't the same day it wasn't because I got it detailed and waxed and everything the day that it crashed, which was fantastic because the next morning he messaged me and he's like, hey, can you send me a picture of like, since it rained last night, can you send me a picture of how the rain like beads up on the car? Because I didn't tell him that I crashed when I crashed. So he's like, can you send me a picture of how the rain beads up on the car with the new wax on it? And I was like, sure. So I sent him a picture of the crashed car on the side of the road because it got detailed the same like hours before it got crashed.
Yeah.
So a different time that I brought it to him, what would happen is I would take my car to him, and then I would take his car because I would have things to do. So I'd be driving around this shitbox 2011 Mitsubishi Lancer that's falling apart, and if you don't put it in neutral, then it shakes like a bitch, like crazy, just sitting still.
At idle?
Sitting still, unless you put it in neutral. And it's so loud it caused headaches like every time. So I was like, okay, I'm going to take George's car. I'm going to stock up on Tylenol real quick.
Yeah.
Because it was so loud. So then I was driving back to his house to get my car, and because he had finished it, so I was driving back, and then all of a sudden I'm like, it sounds louder than it was earlier. So then I hear police sirens go on right behind me, and I'm like, shit. I'm like, I must have gone against some noise ordinance or something as far as exhaust goes. Florida actually doesn't really have many laws as far as like noise and car modifications go. Thank God. Don't have to get inspections or anything.
We don't hear either.
Yeah,
Oh, thank God. My parents grew up in New Jersey.
Well, sometimes
they had
it's
to
good,
get
but
inspections
sometimes
all the
it's
time.
also like that person should not be on the road right now.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
they have no front bumper, a missing headlight, taped over tail lights.
Yeah, I'll show you a
two
picture of
plastic
like
bag windows
of the beat it up water on the car, but like
Beat it up crash pick?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So there's the car. This is the day after when it was in my driveway. So it was
it looks
really
like
bad.
some panels might be a little bit crooked there.
Yeah, just a little
There's,
bit.
I don't think there's anything that.
Just a little bit.
So if you
fucked
look
up.
Little bit-
closely,
little
you
bit
can
of body
see
filler
beaded up
couldn't fix.
water on there from the wax.
Yeah, the wax did a good job.
Yeah. So then what I was showing Michael is,
That shit's mint.
Yeah,
This
think
is
of how many
after.
water spots you could have had that you didn't have
oh yeah,
That car
as
is
a result. You know?
honestly,
like
how much
some
water
Swiss
damage
cheese,
I
yeah.
avoided.
Oh yeah.
So then, what basically with that whole thing with the police lights is, I pull into a gas station. I'm like, "Hello, what can I do for you? Did I do something wrong?" He's like, "Yeah, your exhaust is dragging you on the ground, not like the back end where the." I found out that when our friend George got his exhaust changed out, because it wasn't the stock one. It's basically like this blast pipe. It's like this big.
Yeah,
like a straight
titanium,
pipe
everything.
kind of thing.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, it is now.
Okay.
Because he didn't weld it before. He had like a little rubber clip. Rubber does not withstand apparently,
it melts,
a couple
probably.
thousand,
Yeah.
not a couple thousand, a few hundred degrees.
Yes.
So not towards the back, but like right underneath the driver's seat is where it just fell apart and it was dragging. So it's
Wait,
a little,
the car's so loud you didn't hear it dragging?
yeah,
like it's just
yeah.
like that
Yeah, it is
obnoxious?
that loud. I didn't hear the metal dragging or anything.
That's pretty fucked.
So from the cop's point of view, it's just a bunch of sparks flying out the back.
Yeah, and
And
he's
like,
like,
some idiot that doesn't know that there's sparks coming out of his
'Cause
car.
it's
And he's
so
like,
loud.
what the fuck is going on here?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. So
this
I'm
guy
like,
high as fuck. Like,
this is
yeah.
going to sound stupid, but this isn't my car, so I don't really know what to do here. So I called him, and I'm like, hey, can you bring my car to this gas station? Because your car's fucked. Luckily, the car itself wasn't broken, but like the exhaust was dragging, which was enough.
That is one perk of a really loud car, though, is that when you have
If it's so
when you
loud,
have
you can't hear
issues
the
and creaks
problems.
and rattles, you can't hear any of it.
It's the same thing as like if you don't look at it, it doesn't exist.
Yeah, exactly.
Same thing with the engine lights.
Yeah.
The engine lights come on, just don't look at them. They're not. There's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with them at all.
Out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah. So like, I've had a fun experience just with car problems themselves. He was talking about the Forester. What car do you have now?
I have so the Forester's our other buddy, but I have right now I have a Volkswagen Passat, like an '02, so like 20 years old at this point too. So, a car with like it's got no headliner in it. It's got a license plate patching the floor.
It's on the TikTok. He talked about how much he spent on it.
I spent like 17 grand on it.
Yeah,
I saw that one.
Yeah.
You put it in. Was it his own video?
Yeah,
Yeah,
he did
that's
it.
what I thought.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Well, so
'cause
I
was
should
gonna say,
explain how Ian relates to the channel. So,
Oh yeah, probably.
at a certain point, I basically figured out that like
It's not only
I was
my car
doing
that's fucked.
too much on my own. Basically, it was after the cow manure video, right? Like, fill my car with cow shit. Everybody loves it.
2,500 pounds.
Well, and we had an ad deal
lot.
on that video that ended up making, it was a commission-based kind of deal, and it ended up making way more money than I thought was possible. And it was basically like, okay, I should actually maybe treat this like a business at this point. And so I was like, well, I'm kind of like stretched too thin here. So I was like, who would be the perfect guy? None other than
This
my
guy.
best friend, Ian, because he has the same diseases as I have
Yeah.
regarding like
Spending heinous
buying
money
weird
on
old
stupid
cars and yeah.
Just some ignorance.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah,
Yeah. So
So he
we don't learn.
you bought the 2002 for how much? And you spent 17,000 on it.
$2,600 down
dear
in Dayton. Yeah.
he didn't spend 17,000 all at once.
No.
Oh,
This
no,
is over
absolutely
like
not.
2 years.
2 years. Yeah, this will
Yeah,
be like
no big
year
deal.
3 of ownership. Yeah. No, so like I had it for like 6 months, and then it immediately like shit the bed for $4,000 worth of repairs.
Oh, with what? What happened?
Cam chain tensioners. So like deep engine work, like the whole front of the car comes apart, kind of shit. And like, yeah, plus a $2,000 catalytic converter. And yeah,
Oh, that's downright budget.
Wow, both
oh
of you
yeah,
guys.
that's just budget. Yeah. And then it just kept going, and then like the next big thing was the timing belt went, or the water pump went. So I had to do the timing belt, water pump, all the tensioners, and that jazz.
And you also don't have like Michael has 2 cars.
Yeah.
He has the Volvo.
I got 2 cars as well.
Okay, what's the other one?
So the other one right now, I just sold it yesterday, actually.
Oh,
But-
okay. So it's not like one that you can rely on in case the
Well,
the
no,
2002
but that's
He
takes
has
you
the
down.
daily
I'm gonna
driving
swap.
it.
Yeah, I've been daily driving a 42-year-old Volkswagen.
a 40.
It's a 1980 Volkswagen Dasher. I'm gonna show you a
So
picture.
it's a
Yeah, I
diesel
wanna see
engine
it.
manual.
Yeah, so it's a
I have
1.5
a-
liter diesel with a 4-speed, 48 horsepower.
48.
Yeah.
Top speed is like 60, 65.
Oh, that's like our
You're
friend. He
lucky.
has a. It's either
You could-
it's a 2000 Ford Ranger. He's like, oh, if I go downhill on the Sunshine Skyway
can hit
bridge,
70.
he can hit like 112. But like,
Jeez,
I'm
yeah,
like,
no. I'm
112
not
on
going.
that bridge? That's
Yeah.
a scary bridge. I've been on that bridge.
oh yeah,
Oh, you mean the one? Have you showed me that one? It's like the one that goes.
Yes.
it is home of the longest pier in the world.
Yeah,
Here, I'll show you.
I've heard of that one. But here's this nightmare.
It's in St. Petersburg, Florida. It's huge. Oh,
Yeah, like really old.
was it half decent when like to drive and everything?
I mean, it's like for 42 years old, man. I can get from Columbus to Granville.
We'll get you
So-
pictures of all
So
this.
this
Yeah.
thing, I'm not
Oh,
sure if you
yeah.
can see it getting it.
He
doesn't
showed
look
me a
that
picture before,
downhill.
I think, but I've never been on it.
If
Yeah,
you, it doesn't look that downhill.
Yeah.
But when you're on it, it's a very steep.
it's just like
Jordan used to go very fast.
the speed limit. You mean?
Yeah, the
Yeah.
speed limit.
Yeah.
The posted speed limit, not the suggested one.
Yes.
But anyways, yeah, he's like, oh, if I go downhill, I can just pass 100. So
I'm pretty sure if you put like a Vitamix on each wheel, you'd probably have more power than what that car makes.
I would. Well, if I had like, I kept it any
No, it's
longer.
fun though. It's like
fun.
It is so quirky because it's
Oh God.
I love old cars.
yeah
so,
because
like,
it's from the 80s. Like the doors are super thin. Like the car is surprisingly roomy inside for the size of the car. You know what I mean?
It's a tin can.
This is not going to make any sense. But before I bought the 2019 Mustang, I was either going to restore a 65 Mustang or get a 1980 Jeep CJ7.
Well, that would have been a good choice.
Yeah,
Fuck
but
with
like
a Jeep hardcore, yeah.
Yeah, it would have been great, but it had
like not
so
to
many
daily.
problems. Yeah.
Fuck, no.
Yeah,
It's
I was
gonna
looking
fall
for a
apart.
first car. It had so many problems. It was manual. I did not know how to drive manual at the time. I learned how to drive manual like 3 days after I bought the Mustang.
Yeah.
Well,
you got to learn
really, in order to
on the
learn
fly.
manual, I think you just have to get. It's like a language. You have to just get stuck with it, and
I
it's going to be
just-
scary, and you're gonna
fail.
Yeah.
Well, the problem is
you'll get over it.
It wasn't on the Mustang. It was I bought the Mustang, and then an hour later I drove to Virginia. So we went to Virginia, and on the way back from Virginia, we got a flat tire because I was doing donuts in a parking lot, in a warehouse parking lot.
Like on the drive home from buying the car?
On the drive home from Virginia, so kinda.
Okay.
It was within a week after buying the car.
Okay.
So then
Not much seat time.
that was in South Carolina because we stopped. We had a friend that used to live in Jacksonville, Florida,
Yeah.
that moved to South Carolina. So it was like 2 a.m. and we called him and we were like, "You live in South Carolina, right? We're gonna stop by, but it'll be like 4 o'clock in the morning if you want to hang out." He's like, "Yeah, I'll be awake." 4 o'clock in the morning, he gets in the Mustang and he's like, "Let's do donuts." So then we get a flat tire. Only found out about the flat tire like as we brought him back to his house, but I learned manual in that situation because he had two 1995 BMWs. I forget what specific model they were, but he was like, "I don't care how many problems BMW has. This car is almost 30 years old. We're going to go bring it to a Big Lots parking lot and teach you manual."
Yeah. That's awesome.
I mean, that's the best way, man.
Yeah, none of us realized that as he was teaching me manual the first couple times that he had me start learning, like how to shift the gears and everything, that the parking brake was up. So he was like, "Damn, if you can do this with the parking brake, you must be great whenever it comes to the actual thing." So then that whole like thing happened. Are we still good on the cameras? Is that oh fucking lovely? Oh, the worst case is that the nice one stopped, but who knows? At least we have audio. Yeah, so we went to a Big Lots parking lot. And he's like, "If you can do this with a parking brake on the first try, then you must be great, like, without the parking brake."
Yeah.
So, without the parking brake, it was apparently lovely.
So my first car was a stick.
Because I didn't know how to drive before that, so I didn't know what expectations to have.
Yeah. My first car was a manual transmission Mazda 3 that I got from my sister's now ex-husband. And it was like fully loaded. I loved this thing, honestly. It was like nice. It had like a burgundy like leather interior kind of thing, and it sat at my house for like the first 6 months that I had it because I didn't like manual just like scared me, the idea of like trying to take that to school because this is right when you first start to drive, and so I was just driving our minivan to school, but it was basically me wanting the attention of females that drove me to like get out of the minivan and just like suck it up and just like drive the car. And I'm super glad I did. It was like, that was a very fun car and I loved it. And basically coming from that, I was like, well, I want this, but just slightly better in every way. And so like the BMW just like did that for me. Cause it was like actually quiet on the highway. Cause like, I was basically driving between like Cincinnati and Columbus basically every like 2 weeks, say, like at least once a month. And like the highway driving in that Mazda was awful because it was like you might as well just be in like on a motorcycle. It's so loud on the inside.
The thing had a loud wheel bearing too, I feel like.
Oh, it did. I knew nothing about cars.
The car was
at that point.
rusty as all nonsense underneath.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Borrowed time.
A friend of mine bought it. So,
I mean, I'm sure it's fine. It's an Ohio car.
Somebody else.
I just love that we did righty-tighty, lefty-loosey on that car.
It was perfectly reliable during the time that I owned it.
Yeah.
I sold it for a low price to a friend, And to be honest, I didn't know anything about cars at the point when I did sell it, so I couldn't have really known what he had to do. Like he had to, I think, replace like brake rotors and stuff like that, some wheel bearing, suspension
AC
stuff.
clutch too.
Are you guys still friends?
AC clutch. We are still friends. We don't see each other as much because he lives in like northern Kentucky, and
I was gonna say, did he cut you off after if you gave him like a falling apart car?
well, like a month after he got it, there was like flooding in Cincinnati, and he like sent me a picture of the car like underwater, and I was like, I don't want to see this. Don't send this to me.
Why
this
do
is
this
sad.
That was my baby.
Yeah, I don't want to.
At the same time, it's like, well, why is this now my problem? Like,
Yeah.
what are you trying to get me to do about
Right.
it?
Move it, bro.
I'm like, I didn't flood your car. No.
Be like, have you thought of taking it out? Or just be like, oh, it looks a little wet. Do you need a towel? Something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
It's like,
Drill some holes in the floor. Let it drain out.
oh, yeah. It'll just
Jeep life, you know? Yeah.
Oh, that's exactly how Jeeps work. Yeah, exactly. One of my friends got I think a Jeep Wrangler Sahara or something like that recently. And I didn't, in 1980 with the CJ7, they didn't have a ton of holes in the floor or anything like that were meant to be there.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Oh, so it just kind of like pools water. Is that what?
Yeah. So then now they have like holes that you just unplug.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow.
Yeah,
so
hosable
much
interior.
nicer. Yeah,
It's pretty sick. I think it makes sense.
You take the roof off, take the doors off,
Yeah.
take half the floor out just with holes.
Rip the carpet out.
Yeah, you can do almost anything with Jeeps now as far as like, oh, I want to go to a beach, but I don't want sand everywhere. Or I want to hose this bitch down anytime.
Well, it's like that's like the perfect like beach drive car.
Yeah.
Take the doors off.
Oh, yeah.
Beautiful day outside.
That's why,
There you go.
That's why 70% of white girls will end up getting a white Jeep if their family has enough money to buy them one.
It's funny that you say that. It's actually really funny because our high school was that.
Yeah.
There were like
a lot
if you
of-
were to pick the number one model of our high school, it was the Jeep Wrangler.
Jeep or like
Why? Ohio
Land
doesn't
Rover
really seem like
Discoveries and Forerunners too. That
Ohio
kind of
doesn't
thing.
seem like an off-roading, beaching state. You don't have
It's
any
the
beaches
snow
here.
thing.
Oh.
It's got to be the snow thing that people.
Yeah, well,
And
Yeah.
it's also I think if the parents are maybe into like mudding or something, then like they're like, oh
maybe I can get my kid into this.
yeah, exactly. And it's
yeah.
seems practical enough that you can convince the wife that
Well, it's still a family
whatever.
car. It's got 4 doors. But I got 40-inch tires on it. And
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the funny things about just like Ohio or snowing states in general is you drive through and like this winter storm came at the worst time as far as traveling goes.
Yeah.
But then yesterday we're driving on the road and we're like, damn, some of these people drive slow as hell for living here. And we're like, we don't even have Ohio plates. So everybody knows that we're driving like not something that came from here, but we're flying
Yeah.
past people. Not in like a dangerous way, just like the road is salted. It's clear.
Yeah.
Why are we going 15 miles an hour on the interstate? But then a snowplow will come by and everybody's going slow because they don't want to get sprayed with salt. And
Yes.
we're like, we're in a rental. We're going to go just blow past this bitch. I don't care if this thing rusts.
Yeah.
Jordan's-
Well, that's the worst part. Is just the road salt.
It irks me.
we went to Alaska in October for a
Okay.
week, and it was great.
I
It was,
feel like it's got to be gorgeous.
it was probably my favorite place that I've visited.
Always wanted to see it.
Yeah, I've wanted to do it for years, and then we were supposed to, like either last year or the year before, in like September, and then a pandemic just got created, or it came out, whatever you want to call it, happened. So
Created in a lab.
yeah, somebody ate a bat. So then,
That's
basically,
the
what?
highest skill count in the world from eating a bat.
Yeah, so then basically that got like indefinitely delayed, and then in like August or something like that, July, August, I was like, Jordan, I want to go to Alaska. And then 5 of us went to Alaska. So that was cool. But like what I did at the time was it was like end of August actually that we planned it for the middle of October. So we went there for about a week, which was like a good time to be able to do everything. So we went to like hot springs, mountains, things like that. Northern Lights, all of that nonsense that everybody goes to Alaska for. But what I did was I was like, you know what? I'm going to get some information from the locals themselves. So I got Tinder, and then I paid the Tinder Gold price and put my location to Anchorage because we were staying like 30 minutes north of Anchorage. And all I will say about Alaska is that an average guy from like Florida, Ohio, wherever is like an Alaska 12.
Oh, really?
Yes. As well as I learned by talking to somebody. The only person that I talked... Oh, actually, no. This wasn't because of Alaska. I matched with somebody on Tinder before I set my location to Alaska that lives near Tampa in Florida and used to live in Alaska. And they warned me beforehand. They're like... I saw one of their pictures. I'm like, is that from Alaska? Because I feel like I've seen that picture in like tourist pictures, and like mountain pictures and stuff like that. They're like, yes, it is. I used to live in Juneau, which is very far from everything else in the state.
Out there.
Yeah. So like Juneau is like kind of near the continental U.S. And then you've got the corner of Canada that cuts into it. And then basically it's just like this only little body of land, and then you have to go through a ferry or through the water to get to the rest of Alaska. So it's like not even really part of Alaska. So then basically she was like, yeah, I don't know anything about Anchorage because I wasn't there. But the thing that she did tell me is she was like, oh, you can always tell whenever there's tourists here because they drive the shiny cars. Everybody else just has a really salted and rusted body. They're like, yeah, whenever you see...
beaters.
Yeah. They're like, oh, even if a car's 5 years old, it'll be brown, and that's what you call a Juneau or an Alaska body because like snow and water or something, like just constant. Like, no, it's the salt. Just beats the shit out of it. I'm like, nice. So we rented a Toyota Sienna. Probably should have gotten a truck because we got stuck on some ice roads.
That's where you want to get like a Tesla, honestly, because the solid under tray probably does a good deal towards not rusting.
I'm surprised they use salt up there.
They don't
just like embrace it.
Some roads just aren't salted.
Pack it down.
Sounds like a waste of money up there.
It feels like you're... October is apparently one of the times where like not many people visit. So it felt like we were running the whole state because we from Anchorage to Fairbanks is 6 hours, and of course this Toyota Sienna never had any problems the entire time. It was white. It was brown when we returned it.
It was white. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
filthy.
It was white when we
were done.
Yeah, because it's like, oh, no off-roading, and we took it through the mountains.
I feel like with those temperatures too, the salt might not even work. So might as well just throw like rocks down.
Well, a lot of the interstates were salted, but some of them just weren't. And I don't know how many times I've heard Jordan say, I wonder where they decide we're just going to stop plowing right here.
It's where like, the jurisdiction ends or whatever.
They kind of do that in Granville too, out in the country.
They budget out.
It just stops at a certain point.
Yeah.
Salt they're like, okay, we don't pay for this section of road. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. So it was just like, or like even near this Airbnb, some of these roads are salted, but then you'll turn onto a different road and it's just covered. And we're like,
around
why?
here, none of the side streets get done. Yeah.
I don't know why.
I don't either.
But
I don't. I think it's probably just because plows won't fit.
Oh,
you get
maybe.
a lot of tight side streets with cars parked on both sides because there's a lot of one-ways around here.
Well, they'll prioritize, even if they would do something, they'll do the main roads first.
Yeah.
And they'll do smaller artery or like,
Yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, it was just like we felt we were running the state because even though we were like, oh, we don't know if we're going to slide off this mountain now. But there was like nobody that we saw the whole time. There was a fun time. Or there was, it could probably count on two hands the amount of cars that we saw when we were driving. And we'd be driving 6 hours, and we would see like two cars. Saw like one cop. And at one point, we were like, did we just see the same cop that we saw yesterday? But
Probably.
Yeah, honestly.
That sounds pretty awesome, though.
What was really funny was apparently when Jordan and the guys, I got there a day before they did, but they picked up the rental car the next day. So I was just, riding around in lifts and walking and taking the bus around Alaska in 20-degree weather. You're probably used to that. It's, 25 here, 30, something like that.
right now. Yeah, it's every like.
But this is January. That was October, and it was 20 degrees.
Yeah.
So, but they apparently got the rental car, and then there was somebody in a 4Runner that rented the car, and then we saw them for like 3 days just going on the same roads that we were, and we're like, that's the same license plate. It's the same people.
Yeah.
Oh, tourists all just decide to go to the same places. They went to the same hot springs the same day that we did. It just did like everything. It was like the first. We were just like, why do we see this white 4Runner everywhere with the same license plate? But that was a fun time. A separate fun time, also in Alaska, was when we went to this glacier. It's got like a Russian name. It's called Matanuska Glacier. And you take this road up like in the mountains, and then it's got like a downhill to get to the glacier property, but that was iced. So the back end of the Toyota started like kicking out, even though Jordan wasn't pressing the gas, anything. Brakes are pointless because you're going to slide anyways. And this van got stuck going upwards. So then we were probably like an inch away from like hitting this van, and we were like, we're either going to slide off the hill or into this van or both. Luckily, neither one happened.
Did you stop in time?
Yeah, like an inch away from this van. And then we called the place, and they're like, yeah, just keep going down. I'm like, just keep going down. We're going to fly off this thing. Luckily, the snow melted we got down perfectly fine, and then the snow melted by the time we were done with the glacier. It was like an hour and a half tour. But we were like, what do you people do if, like, this is your property and people are, like, slamming into trees, flying off the hill, hitting other cars, anything like that. So it's like every time we take a trip somewhere, it's just chaos with cars. Whether I went to Virginia and I got a flat tire, not a huge deal. Flat tires are easy, except for the fact that Ford doesn't give spare tires. You got to figure out how to use their tire sealant kit that has instructions that work like IKEA.
Saver,
No words. No words on the instructions, just like IKEA.
Well, not all Fords. Get a Bronco.
Oh. Get the
on the back.
Yeah.
The Bronco Sport that looks like a Kia Sport. Or the Bronco Sport that looks like a Kia Soul.
Yeah.
Those are very popular up here. I don't know if they are in Florida too, but I've seen them everywhere.
Really.
The Kia Soul?
No,
the Bronco Sport.
Bronco Sports.
Yeah,
I've seen them all over the place.
They're pretty stupid.
They look very interesting.
Well, but what do you think the alternative to that is?
Getting the full-size Bronco? Not the Bronco Sport.
Getting the full-size Bronco.
Just get the real Bronco.
That's true, but what if you don't have enough money for that?
Then you can't afford a Bronco?
A Jeep?
Yeah, like a used Jeep.
Well, no. What if you're in the market for like a...
But it's not a real SUV, though.
A CX-5.
Okay.
And instead you get a Bronco Sport. Is that cooler?
No.
Okay.
It's all unibody lifted sedan crap anyway, in my opinion.
Isn't the Bronco Sport more expensive than just the normal Bronco?
If it is, that is the biggest.
I think it's the Bronco Sport is trying to be like
a mid-size SUV,
a cheaper unibody.
It's like a
off-roady ish.
Yeah, off-road. Yeah, okay.
Off-roady marketed, although dubiously off-roady.
Anything that's unibody is not.
It's
off-road.
like less than $2,000 cheaper.
Are you serious?
Yeah, the normal Broncos
might come with more creature comforts.
Creature comforts?
Well, then you don't want an SUV.
Stuff like heated seats and things like that in the base trim.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the Ford Bronco is $29,300.
That's not even bad.
Bronco Sport's $27,400.
Why would you buy it?
Oh, but think about that. The Bronco is probably 2-door in its lowest price variant. I bet the Bronco Sport's a 4-door.
No, it's a 4-door.
Oh,
the picture that
I
they
think
use
it's supposed
is
to directly
4-door.
compete with the Jeep, the normal Bronco.
I would hope so.
No, I think the normal Bronco is supposed to compete with the
Yeah,
Wrangler.
Let's see.
Yeah.
I think the Bronco Sport is trying to compete with like a Jeep Cherokee.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, you get 4 seats.
Or
regardless.
Wagoneer. I don't know the
Cherokee
models that well.
Yeah.
I mean, you get 4 seats regardless. Base.
Yeah.
The essential. I don't want to explore this model. I want you to tell me what the price is.
There's something charming about a car like the 4Runner that's like still so old school.
Oh, yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's just like just a naturally aspirated V8.
On a body on frame.
Body on frame, yeah. Like hasn't
how it's supposed to be.
Really even been updated at all.
The most it's gotten is independent front suspension, but that's...
I was wrong. The base Bronco is 4 doors, $28,500.
That's still under $30,000 though.
Let's see. Does it show the 2-door? Or is that like an upgrade that you get? It does not show the 2-door. That's probably an upgrade that you pay for. Yeah, let me pay to get my doors removed. Doesn't really make sense.
It's got to be around the same price.
I'd have to get the 2-door one. That's how they were originally.
Let's see. 2021 Bronco base. What zip code would this be?
43.
What?
You can do 43202. I know that one works.
43202.
That's not here, but it's north a little bit.
I'm sure pricing in Ohio might be slightly different than Florida, maybe. 2-door, 29,300. 4-door, 33,000. Why?
Yeah, I don't.
Then why do they advertise 28,000 if it starts at 29,000?
Ford.
This market.
Yeah.
It's because they know you're going to pay it anyway.
It's all on the Ford website. You click one page and it says starting at 28,000, and then you click build and it says starting at 29,300. I'm like,
the whole car market is just awful right now. This is the worst time my car could have.
I was lucky enough
possibly
to get
gone out.
Yeah, honestly, I got my car probably just as it was starting to go up. But I got my car used enough where like it had 6,500 miles on it. So like
new,
pretty much new. Some guy had at least for like 11 months, which is really weird. Maybe got repossessed or something. Mm-hmm. I found out when it crashed that the guy got aftermarket suspension put on it. But I got it used enough where it like got knocked down a decent amount from like the new price, because whatever that rule is about, once you drive off the lot, it's worth 20% less, or who knows, whatever it's called.
Some of that too is like it's worth 20% less to the person who owns it, because you're going to have to trade it in, and then the dealer's going to have a markup. So buying it, so like private sale, it might only go down like 10% or something like that.
Yeah, but it was enough for the dealership to be like, oh, we can't sell this as a used car, which then comes like, even if it's not sold as, or they can't sell it as a new car, whatever. So you can't have like the super high prices. But then interest rates make up for that.
So I'm curious, how much
anyways.
did you get off the price?
At the time, any brand new one that I was looking anywhere was supposed to be like just over 30, because new car prices were starting to go up because of the manufacturing of these chips and whatever. It was like 33,000 for either a base EcoBoost or an EcoBoost Premium, and I got mine for 25.
Oh, nice.
So
that's
not
really
terrible.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, because now if you look, that same kind of car that has like 6,000 miles or whatever, and like is maybe like 1 year old.
Yeah.
They'll ask like almost exactly MSRP for a new one.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is wild to me that like anybody would be. I guess if you can't get a new one, but like in a lot of cases you can get a new one at MSRP, and so it's like
have to wait.
It seems insane to me that you'd spend money on like a with the Golfs at least. Like I understand the Mark 7.5 is still desirable, but like it seems weird to pay the same price for a new Golf as a 1 year old Golf that is the last generation. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's also supply and demand. So if everybody wants it, then
my mother got her car, this new 20 Corolla that I was talking about. Mm-hmm. She got her car when used car prices were like skyrocketing. It had like 43,000 miles on it when she bought it, and they sold it for like $23,000 to her. I'm like, 40,000 miles for like almost $25,000.
Yeah,
not even for a Camry, for a Corolla.
That's just a lot for a Corolla.
I was like, dear God, why? But it wasn't even just like that dealership marking up. It was every used car in new cars just like being so expensive.
I think you will find lower markups on less popular models. So like
probably
sedans are
everybody knows a
less
Corolla.
Desirable. Like you could probably get a 3 Series for close to MSRP. I'm just guessing on this. I don't know, but just because it's like that style of car is much less desirable. Like an X3, probably everybody wants, but like a 3 Series, probably not as many people do. So there is a benefit, I guess, to picking for instance, like one of the G70 models that I'm looking at is like 20,000 miles, 2019, right? And it's a lot less expensive than other ones because I think it's a rear-wheel drive and people don't want that in Ohio. And then it's also, well, this particular one's an auto, but they sold like a very small number of manual transmission ones, and people like don't want those.
Yeah, you were saying when we were texting, you were saying a lot of people in Ohio aren't used to like snowing because it doesn't do that much. So like snowing plus rear-wheel drive, nobody's going to know what to do.
Honestly, we have not had much snow in the last couple of years. Like we'd be lucky to really have like
one
one
good snow
week of snow.
Yes, and it chose to have a winter
maybe
storm.
spread out between, but like
When
if
we
you were to
scheduled
add up all
this.
the days that snow was on the ground, like maybe you have like 1 to 2 weeks worth of it. So like the majority of the time, people just don't. And people also think that like they don't realize that when it's snowing, it's really just about not making sudden movements.
Yeah,
More than
honestly.
it is about
going 15 miles an hour.
going slow or whatever, right? So
Yeah,
Wow.
because like
a lot of
naturally,
factors.
it just so happened to have like, I don't know. I wouldn't really call it severe because I feel like it wasn't that bad last night. But like every weather thing was like severe winter storm warning. But I was like, any winter storm is not going to be pleasant. The only time that we scheduled this to happen, but it was like lovely. For used 3 Series, I'm looking at a 2013 328i with 78,000 miles as $18,000.
I still think that's absurd.
Yeah,
That makes me want to puke.
there's one. There's a 2016 for 55,000. That's going for $25,000. So like, way too much.
That's why there's a.
So, that's why there's a what?
That's why I've been looking at the Genesis more seriously because people don't know that even exists, and so
Yeah.
there's less demand for them, and the prices are a little bit lower.
Yeah.
That's a cool one. That Hearst just came out of the church. Get to use one of those. People probably.
Oh dear God. Yeah. I don't think you
Hearst.
typically do get a used hearse. Before we start wrapping up, I did want to touch on something that we talked about for just a quick second before we started when we were talking downstairs. Where do you think the whole like future of the TikTok, YouTube content thing is going?
Yeah. So right now we're trying to plot this arc of kind of like the journey of a car enthusiast, all of like the milestones that they'll hit as they go, right? And so it's like starts off, it's like, you might buy like a cheap project car and like just mess around with it, right? Like what happens next? We're actually wanting to kind of get into reviews a little bit. There's another guy on TikTok, Forest Reviews Autos, or it's Forest Auto Reviews. He does a great job about doing car reviews, but I think that we could bring a unique, fresh take to it with our kind of style of thing. And so essentially, every review might actually come from the standpoint of we're searching for our dream car. We don't know what it is. And so we kind of have to try everything.
Yeah.
Right. And then like the cool thing is that we want to like kind of rate cars on aspects that make like head-to-head battles between cars that might not normally be compared. Like let's say like a really shitty old Honda Civic versus like a brand new supercar, right? and the sort of thing where it's like, people, whenever you read a review, it's always whether it's good or bad is always relative to its class of car. So I think it would be really interesting to see like how much better is something like that than a Honda, Yeah. And not just like maybe from the typical driving standpoint, but also like usability, like going through a McDonald's drive-through. What is your experience like in a car that's like touching the ground?
Yeah, honestly.
Yeah, stuff like that. So we're excited about that. We're not going to like completely leave behind this more like, DIY kind of stuff, but we're going to throw some reviews in there.
Well, and as well as have your next upcoming car be like have a little mod series on it or something, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to be getting an
sprinkle
NA
it in.
Miata as well. So we'll be in Florida, or I will at least, for a little period of time. Because I do
something.
not want an Ohio NA Miata. They're all rusted.
If you're
out.
going to be around like the Sarasota area, definitely got to let me know because we just moved pretty close to there.
Yeah,
So,
I will. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean that'll be fun because I came to Ohio. Now you'll be going to Florida for some time. Yeah, so I mean, like the cool thing about like your reviews, everybody knows like the Chris Fix It. I've seen the Forest Auto Reviews a couple times, but the thing that I always liked whenever I came across yours was I was like, I'm just scrolling across TikTok. You see these girls that are like dancing, and then all of a sudden, I just scroll and I see a video of this man driving in reverse. And hi, my name is Michael, and today I'm filling my car with 1,100 kilos of cow shit. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, let's
I'm like,
go.
woohoo,
Not
let's
just,
go.
not just, oh, my brake rotor or my brakes are running, are like basically gone. Like, let's teach you how to
have
replace it.
You know, make a story of it. You know,
You gotta
make it
stand
fun
out
and
somehow.
relatable to people that wouldn't typically be into cars. If I had to guess, the majority of people that are watching our stuff aren't probably diehard car enthusiasts.
Probably not. You've probably got a small percentage.
Yeah.
Some
Well,
of them are
that small
probably like-
percentage is the percentage that leaves all the comments. But yeah,
Yeah. You probably got like so many people that are like, I don't know anything about cars, but this is like entertaining.
yeah,
Oh yeah.
yeah. Well, and so like, I even find it myself because it's so easy to like not understand why you don't like something. You just like scroll past it.
Yeah.
So I'll even be watching some of like my follow list, and it'll be there's a number of people I follow that do like car related content, and I'll just find myself like skipping it. And one of the videos I skipped, and then I like immediately came back to it because I was like, okay, hold on, let's diagnose why I just skipped this video because it was a girl changing her like wheel bearing on a Nissan like 370Z or something.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's like something that we might do. But like, I was like, what's the difference between like a video of this that I like want to watch and one that I don't want to watch? And I was like, well, the one that I don't want to watch is just like, I'm going to try to replace a wheel bearing.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't care if you do or don't. It's like,
Yeah.
you know?
Pretty dry.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I can't say I've ever seen somebody fill their car with cow shit and then fix it, but now I have. But so is the like review series going to be the next thing that we should look forward to on the channel, or is there some other plan with?
Well, the next two
coming up
videos
next?
that you should look forward to are blowing up a Volvo's engine with canola oil.
Oh hell yeah!
Yeah, that, and then the one after that is me taking out my rage on my BMW
Yeah.
and
Before you get
making
in
an
your car.
example of that bungler for the world to see.
Who is
right?
you?
Yeah, when we were sitting downstairs, I was like, Jordan, he's going to come here tomorrow in the Volvo and say, I just replaced my air filters with toilet paper rolls on the way here.
You know, ironically, that Volvo is the most. I would trust that car to drive me somewhere the most of.
On Starbucks.
Yeah, like
and
honestly,
Mountain Dew.
it doesn't run on all 5 cylinders, but it'd probably drive us here.
Yeah.
Like
well, so
It's doing
yeah.
fine so far.
Yeah.
Yeah. The reason it's a little bit of synergy on that engine video because the current engine has a cylinder misfire on like cylinder 2 or something like that. And we thought we were crossing our fingers that it was a head gasket. Well, first off, we were crossing our fingers that it was an ignition coil
Yeah,
or
like
spark plug.
yeah.
Wasn't that. Then we were like, okay, hopefully it's a head gasket because they make like sealant liquid you can pour in and it's very cheap.
Cylinder
Magic
misfires
Wasn't
are a
that-
bitch.
We had a shop look at it, and it's it has either like a bad valve or like piston ring. And
So 0 compression on one
when life gives you
cylinder.
lemons, make lemonade.
Yeah. Make a video out of it.
Yeah, we'll fill it with canola oil, put a brick on the accelerator, and hopefully
Wow.
it throws like a rod.
Let her eat, man.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Big boom.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm looking forward to that. Other than that, I think we got pretty solid idea of like how things have gone, how things are going to go. So I'm sure we'll either make it back to Ohio or we'll have you in the studio when you come to Florida. That would
Yeah.
be cool
Yes,
Absolutely.
to buy the Miata.
because we have a built studio there. But I think that this is a good like wrapping up point. We know where we're going from now, and we got some things to look forward to without giving absolutely everything away. So if anybody hasn't seen Michael's content, definitely go check it out because I have never seen a man fill his coolant with Starbucks until a few weeks ago. So
Well, I appreciate you having me on, John.
yeah, no problem. It was great having you guys.
And the next time that I am in Florida, I'll hit you up.
Yeah, we'll see you guys soon. So thank you to anybody for listening, watching, subscribing, playing this in your car, whatever you are doing. And we will see you next time.